What will change in 2025 regarding the non-dom status? Everything you need to know straight from the source, you'll find out in this video. Hello and welcome. My name is Florian Wilk. I have been the managing director of CMC in Larnaca, Cyprus for 15 years now. Over the past years, we have had the privilege of assisting with several hundred company formations for people emigrating, and we probably have more hands-on experience than anyone else in this field, especially when it comes to helping German-speaking entrepreneurs and emigrants move to Cyprus and doing so in a legally secure and sustainable way. And in this video, I would like to talk about the currently planned changes to the law. Among other reasons, because there is a lot of sensationalism and a lot of rumors circulating there. And I would like to clarify what the actual facts are and what belongs more in the realm of fairy tales. So, fact number one, or rather observation number one, nothing is set in stone yet. There are currently recommendations, and these recommendations could possibly be implemented exactly as they are, but as I said, nothing is set in stone yet, and everything is still open. It remains to be seen how things will develop over the course of this year and what the legislator will ultimately make of it. There are some good ideas among them. Personally, I also believe that one or two of them will actually be implemented. And it should also be said that the legislator in Cyprus is extremely good at creating incentives to ensure that Cyprus is and remains tax attractive for expats, entrepreneurs, and also private individuals. And Cyprus is always a very, very long-term oriented location. It's not the mentality to bring people into the country, give them favorable tax treatment for a few years, and then turn around and treat them badly or raise taxes. That's not the mentality. You see that in many other places, but you won't experience that in Cyprus. Cyprus is and wants to remain tax attractive in the long term. Staying low is extremely important to keep in mind. And I really say this because it's not something you can take for granted. And if you're considering whether you should move to Spain, Montenegro, Portugal, or Italy, or rather to Cyprus, then I can tell you lifestyle is always a matter of personal taste, that's clear. I think the standard of living in Cyprus is very, very good. But when it comes to taxes, there is nothing better than the Republic of Cyprus. Period. You can really say it just like that. And if you see it differently, feel free to let me know in the comments, of course. Of course, you can always debate whether Monaco with its 0% income tax or the Emirates, which also come with various disadvantages, might be more interesting. Personally, I am convinced that this overall package in Cyprus with the non-dom status simply doesn't exist anywhere else, and it's just unbeatable. And that means, and this is the second important point and the first possible change. That means, for one, the 60-day rule. The 60-day rule means that at least 60 days of stay per year in Cyprus are sufficient as long as you don't spend more than 183 days anywhere else. And then you get the non-dom status. By the way, you get it for 17 years. And now they're considering whether to say, well, maybe we don't need any stay at all. No minimum stay of 60 days, but instead we tie it to economic interests. That means someone can set up a company in Cyprus, employ themselves in the company, and possibly even shareholder status might count. We don't know that yet, but that's the legislator's current thinking. And then they say someone has economic interest locally, which means that person also automatically qualifies for non-dom status. Of course, many people say, wonderful, I don't need to spend 60 days in Cyprus. I can qualify for non-dom status. What a great thing. But you need to be aware of something. And you always have to think things through to the end. In order to be tax resident somewhere, no matter where in the world, you always need to have a certain connection. And some countries are very relaxed about this, and you can already be considered tax resident with, let's say, a minimal connection. Others take a somewhat stricter approach. And in the end, it always comes down to your center of life. If your center of life is in France and you even spend no time or just a few days a year in Cyprus and you get the non-dom status in Cyprus because this legal change goes through by the end of the year, then France will, in all likelihood, still tax you on your worldwide income in France because that's where your center of life is. And you have to be careful not to jump to any hasty conclusions or make any mistakes. What we do as standard is provide our clients with a checklist, 8 in total, but one specifically for establishing your center of life in Cyprus. And you should definitely pay attention to that. And I know that no one else in Cyprus does this. That's why I'm pointing it out. It's important to work through these checklists because this is not standard practice. We go far beyond the minimum level of advice that's required. Then we go far beyond that. And with this center of life checklist, you are truly prepared for all situations and can also provide proof to foreign tax authorities that your actual center of life is in Cyprus. And to close the loop, if I have my center of life somewhere, then I am certainly spending more than 60 days at that location. So for me personally, that's why it doesn't really matter. It doesn't make much difference whether you deviate from that or not, because I am absolutely convinced that I have to spend at least 60 days or a bit more somewhere in order to truly call it my center of life. And in case of doubt, that status doesn't help me if, for example, I am non-dom, so I'm exempt from the defense contribution. But on the other hand, my center of life is actually somewhere else. Then I have a status that doesn't benefit me at all. And that's exactly the kind of thing that falls into the category of bad or incorrect advice where you're simply not being advised globally. And that's not sustainable. And in the end, it's the taxpayer who suffers. That's why, for me, this point really isn't decisive at all, whether the 60-day rule is abolished or not. The second point is much, much more interesting. And this is where it really gets interesting, namely, whether it might actually be possible to extend the non-dom status beyond the 17 years. And I think that's brilliant because I get this question so often in my daily consultations. I have at least 10 consultation sessions every day. And I keep getting this question where people ask what actually happens after the 17 years. Of course, that's a completely legitimate question, and you should already be thinking about where you'll be in 20 or 30 years. And unfortunately, my answer is always that we don't know. It's not possible to make a reliable prediction yet. As things stand today, as a non-dom, you simply pay the defense levy, which is 17% on most capital income. Some things are tax-free anyway, such as profits from the sale of securities. But as things stand today, after 17 years, the status expires. And then you pay the 17%. Not the end of the world, and certainly not a reason for everyone to leave Cyprus, of course, but it's not exactly very, very advantageous either. And I think the lawmakers have already started thinking about this relatively early, because let's not forget the non-dom status has only existed since 2016. It's not that old yet. It's a relatively new model in Cyprus. In my opinion, it was quite a game changer for the island as well. And now they're already considering and suggesting that after 17 years, the status can be extended for an annual flat fee. And how much that will be, we'll have to see. I could imagine it being around 5,000 euros or so, that the taxpayer pays a flat 5,000 euros and then can continue to benefit from the non-dom advantages. And I have to say, I would find that very, very positive and would absolutely welcome it, because it simply gives you this long-term perspective if you choose Cyprus as your tax residence. And you just know, hey, even in 20 or 30 years, I can still take advantage of these benefits. In all likelihood, you would just pay this annual flat fee then. I think that's fair, it's understandable, and it's a great development. It would be a great further development of the non-dom regime. Yes, but whether it will all turn out that way, that's written in the stars. That's why it's a bit in the realm of speculation. I think it's important to think about these things. It's also important to have the right partner by your side. And if you're looking for someone to support you with your move to Cyprus, someone who will, let's say, prepare you for everything that comes with it and everything that's ahead, then feel free to sign up for a free initial consultation. You'll find the link below this video. By the way, we hold a workshop every week for our existing clients, where as a client, you are always warmly invited to join and can dive deeper into these topics and make sure you are legally secure. Of course, the most crucial thing is that you can enjoy these tax benefits and the lifestyle in Cyprus in a legally secure and sustainable way. Thank you very, very much. Thank you for your attention. I wish you all the best with your plans, with your move abroad, and I'll see you again very, very soon. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, give me a thumbs up, and all the best. Take care, yours, Florian Wilk.